I appreciate your work since you guys sat in here. All right, item O, approval of the warrant for fall town meeting. I'm sorry, whoops, sorry. And consider reopening the annual fall town meeting warrant. Mr. Kadim.
So we have a request from Habitat for Humanity for a property that was in tax title for Burnside Ave. And they came before us, I think, a year ago, 2 years ago. So that we just, if the board wants to move forward, since we do have a couple of properties that are going to be requested to be able to put up for sale, we would just need to open up the town warrant so we can add this as an article.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have to close the warrant again now? Motion to insert this and, yeah, is that two different motions now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And immediately close the fall town warrant.
Sure.
Yep. Seconded. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Open. Okay. All right, now let's try this again. Item O, approval of the warrant for fall town meeting.
Okay. So I passed out the most updated warrant article, so you would just want to follow
So I
along.
don't want to
Yeah.
follow an updated one. Okay.
So we'll go right through it.
And then actually for board members, I would probably recommend let Mr. Kadim go through the warrant articles and we can then run back through and do, we can assign, take items P and Q together and do the assigning recommendations as we go through.
Yep, that's fine.
So Article 1 is the reports from committees and boards. Article 2 is the appropriation of free cash. As I mentioned at the quad board meeting, our free cash was certified. So we will be looking to, per the finance policy, appropriate 15% to the stabilization account, 15% to the municipal capital stabilization fund, 15% to the building and infrastructure stabilization account, and 15% to other post-employment benefits or OPEB trust fund. The difference here, you will see that the building and infrastructure stabilization account is higher than those other accounts. It's $530,149.28. That reflects the 15% of free cash. And then also, the board had requested that we have the marijuana impact fee and excise tax being rolled into that. So for last fiscal year, we had $114,411.53. So we're going to pull that from free cash, put that in there. That will leave, we've got a 10% per the policy to leave as a balance for a rollover for the next fiscal year in the event that we have any deficits. So we start with a positive balance. So that'll be $270,000. The 30% that's left over for the free cash that can be used for capital items that comes along is that 30% is actually less the marijuana money, so it's not quite 30%. So it's a little less. It's $717,063. When we take into account all the free cash that's being utilized in the warrant articles, that will give us a balance of $539,000 to use for capital and/or, because we still have a placeholder here for police negotiations. So if we've got a number, that would just reduce that amount.
Yep.
So whatever is left in that free cash is what we're going to be using for capital improvement requests moving forward, because we're building up that stabilization account until we get to that minimum balance before we pull for it. Article 3 is the, as I mentioned at the quad board meeting, as well as for the appropriation of $57,806 for Tri-County and Bristol Aggie. It's broken down specifically to each one. So we were short $41,409 for Tri-County, and then $16,397 for Bristol Aggie, based on the assessment that came in after the budget was put together.
Yep.
Article 4 is the collective bargaining agreement that we already have in place for the funding of the first year of the collective bargaining agreement for the library. It's $120,000 coming from free cash.
Yep.
Article 5 is the collective bargaining agreement placeholder. And in hopes that we do have a contract before fall town meeting. For the police department, obviously don't have any numbers, so again, it's just a placeholder. Article 6 is for the National Guard and Reservist exemptions for the tax bills. We have to do this every 2 years, so we're up for the 2-year approval from town meeting. Article 7 is just a minor tweak to the special event permit, and we had changed this last year as well, but what we're looking to do is remove the word certified from the mail. It's extremely costly to get certified mail to abutters that are 200 feet, so we're just looking to get it mailed as opposed to certified. Article 8 is the street acceptance for Lannister Lane. Article 9 is the personnel bylaw change, and this is just a little background. So the charter is removing the Human Resource Board. We have a personnel bylaw that references a personnel board, which is not titled correctly. When you look at the charter, it's called an HR Human Resource Advisory Board, but they're speaking to the exact same thing. We have not had a board since I've been here, and I think it actually disbands, I think 3 years before I got here. So what we're looking to do in the event that it's not removed from the charter, we need to have things modified. And so what I'm looking to do is just put in the language that's in bold. So in the absence of a personnel board, the Board of Selectmen shall fulfill the role and responsibilities of the personnel board. The personnel bylaw, it was hard to find the personnel bylaw. We finally tracked it down, so it is spelled out. Any changes to that will have to go to the town meeting before, and we have to make some corrections because the document itself is actually riddled with a lot of errors in terms of, one that's coming to mind right now. Instead of speaking to the town bylaws, it references the town ordinances. So ordinances only apply to cities. In towns, it's a bylaw, so we'll have to make those changes. There are also some other changes that need to take place. What I will say is the personnel bylaw only impacts 7 positions that we have in town. The kennel workers, and hopefully I can remember them all. The kennel workers, we've got the folks that are on the grants at the senior center, a page at the library, a custodian that we have at DPW, and I'm missing something. So there's only seven positions that this really pertains to, because everybody else is either a collective bargaining agreement or an individual contract. The second part in doing that is updating the personnel salary wage table that's associated with the personnel bylaw. So in order to provide salary increases to the folks that are working on the grants, they're below minimum wage, so we can't do that unless we get this increase in the actual salary table. So I did not create this. I do not have an explanation as to how it was created or a history behind it. So please don't ask me what the minimum and the second quartile is, or the midpoint, or how they got to that. Essentially, there was 15 grades. I did not change what was here. All I did was start with minimum wage for calendar year 2023, which would be 15. When I was looking at the wage salary that was there, going across a grade, it ranged anywhere from 6 to 7%. Going up a grade was 6%. So all I did was take the minimum wage as the starting point for grade 1. I did 6% across, 6% down. Again, we have seven employees. They're all pretty much at minimum wage. I believe we'll never see anybody in those levels getting anywhere near this grade. But it does require town meeting to approve this. So we've never seen any upgrades from town meeting to do that, and it's really supposed to be a recommendation of the personnel board. They're non-existent, but to be able to cover the individuals that we currently have working, we're going to submit that.
Interesting. I suspect it has something to do with their hiring point
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Article 11 is the warrant that was submitted from the school committee, just looking to appropriate the funding that was left in the special education stabilization account to the operating budget. Article 12 was a result of the Quad Board meeting, and the discussion that we had was the creation of a school capital stabilization account. So this will require 2/3. There's no funding associated with this, but just the establishment, and then we can discuss potentially policy and things of that nature on how we're going to fund it for a future town meeting. Article 13 and 14 are in regards to Arcade Ave traffic lights. So the Arcade Ave sidewalk project has a surplus of roughly 200,000, could be a little bit more. We've got about 80,000 set aside just for the guardrails, which we think will be under the 80,000. We did go out to bid for the traffic light, so we were appropriated. I should take a step back. So I know there was a resident that came up and said it was all one warrant article, and I argued that it was two warrant articles, and I was told no, I was wrong. But it's two warrant articles. $500,000 was appropriated for the November 20th town meeting, which didn't take place until March 27, 2021. So I've got that in the warrant article just to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then May of 21, because we had discussion about we were just doing a flashing light, and then town meeting wanted a full traffic light. Then we came back to the meeting, so we appropriated $250,000 in the spring of 21 for the traffic signal itself. The bids for the traffic signal, based on design and everything, came in $383,000 with a high bid of $428,000. So we didn't have enough to award it, so we will have to go back out to bid. So what I'm looking to do is transfer the $200,000 that we have in savings and surplus because of DPW doing various work, transfer that over to the traffic light, and then in Article 14, just asking for $50,000 to give us a cushion for any type of contingency that we may have or need for this project, just to cover the completion of the project.
That makes sense.
Article 15 is the request to allow the Board of Selectmen to sell County Street Fire Station. Article 16 is an article to sell Howland Street. Article 17 is the charter. Article 18 is the establishment of the library building committee. I can tell you that I did have a conversation today with the chairperson of the library trustees, and he's going to try to attempt to create, if the motion passes at the special town meeting in October 24th, to see if the moderator will allow a motion to establish a building committee. If not, it's on a placeholder for this time period. So I just don't know if the moderator would rule it out of order or outside of the scope of the town meeting. So it really is up to him as to whether or not he allows it. But there is a placeholder here. So it'll be a 5-member board, 2 members to be appointed by the Board of Selectmen, 3 to be appointed by the library trustees if it were to pass. And then the only other article that we would have outside of this is the ones that the board just asked to put on for Burnside Ave.
So is there any way to put that on the one for Burnside Ave, to have it that if it is not buildable, because right now everything's just projected to be buildable, that the property is returned to the town?
So we would do that with a reverter clause or
Okay.
in the bid proposal. So this is just asking, because even with the authority to go ahead and move forward with the sale of it, the Board of Selectmen doesn't necessarily need to act on it, so.
I just
Yeah,
wanted to throw
this
that
still
out
goes
there.
back to the conversation last time.
Yeah.
If we don't like the bid, or for whatever
Right.
reason
Yep.
we choose not to do the deal, then
Yep.
so be it.
And you don't
Right.
even have to put it out to bid, you just got the authority to go ahead and sell it, so.
Right. And then the only other thing I would suggest is we keep the charter as the last warrant
Yeah,
article
I'll do that.
itself.
Yeah.
So,
All depending on whether or not that other one goes through. I see what you said, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Which one? Yeah, I gotcha. The building committee for the library is what he has last.
Yep.
Just flip them if that's needed, yeah.
okay. So, that said, do we have a motion to approve the warrant for fall town meeting as amended?
Yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.